Hey, let's take a minute to talk about the lesson plan assignment that falls within Module 10. Since the focus of Module 10 is on communication skills, so too is the your group lesson plan focus for this module. So this is the second of 4 group lesson plans that you will do. Keep in mind, so now you should have completed one and hopefully I finished feedback on it for you. So you have a general idea of how it should work. But basically you're collaborating with your group members using a Google Doc to develop a lesson plan. This one focused on teaching a communication slash language skill to it can just be written for one student, but you definitely have at least this one student in mind. There are several case study choices in the group folder. Let me show that to you here. You have the same 3 choices for each set of lesson plans that you do. I tried to provide a middle school, a high school, and an elementary school student. So this part is completely up to your group. If you used one particular student the first time, perhaps you can use a student that represents someone else within the group. You know, if you did a middle school student for lesson plan 1, and there are folks in your group that are elementary school teachers, then maybe you want to do elementary school for this lesson plan. Or as a group, if you feel like, well, we got to know this case study student, now I really like to work on a lesson plan for that same one. This is up to you. It's up to your group, okay? So discuss it with each other, determine how you want to work that, and go for it. But read through the case study, use that case study to guide um, your lesson plan development. They should all have something about communication skill of the student, as well as some things the student needs to work on. So that would be a great way for you to target your lesson. Like I said, this could be a lesson plan you develop, excuse me, to teach one-on-one, or perhaps you are going to do this in a broader format. But since you are specifically honing in on a communication skill lesson, that's generally not what you would find in a general education environment, right? So you'd probably be teaching that most likely one-on-one or in a small group pull-out type of thing. So keep that in mind when you're developing your lesson plan. The expectations are the same as the first one you did. You should pick from the 4 ABA instructional formats that we've discussed previously in the text. Chapter 5 really went into that in detail. So you're looking at lowercase direct instruction, uppercase direct instruction, discrete trial training, or milieu teaching. Milieu teaching is actually really appropriate for communication skill development, but again, this may depend upon what you decide to teach and the student, him or herself. Table 6.8 in the chapter kind of lays out some milieu teaching procedures for language development. So tip, right? That can help guide your process here. Now, you're not just taking the words directly from here. I would expect you to customize for the case study student, but you can at least see an example of how kind of how you would lay that generally out. Chapter 6 also has a lot of great tables that talk about the different skills you can focus on in a lesson when teaching communication. So table 6.5, 6.6, and 6.7 really do a nice breakdown of different skills that might help you focus if you're having trouble focusing on what to specifically teach. That might help guide you there. Okay. Make sure you're embedding essential ABA teaching strategies that are appropriate for this. That might be some form of shaping or chaining or generalization training. Another piece that you're going to want to include is at least one recent peer-reviewed scholarly article that supports the strategy you're using. And you need to cite it in your lesson plan template. That's important. So if you hone in on a specific age group or type of skill, I would use that type of skill in your literature search to help you out, to help you find something, an article or two that are related to your topic and may help guide you in how you want to teach this particular skill. Sky's the limit here, y'all. So if you find this great article on a really fun, cool, tech-based tool to use, you can certainly incorporate that here, even if you don't currently have access to that, right? Because we're dreaming big, but work together, collaborate on that. I'm looking for collaboration through a few ways. I can see, obviously, you need to have at least 5 comments within that Google Doc that are substantive, right? They're not just like, oh yeah, I agree. You need to contribute some meaningful information, but you also need to keep in mind that you need to write the text up. Somebody needs to do that. Several of you need to do that. You can decide in your comments, hey, I'll take this section and work on it. You take that section, and then I'll come in on Friday and do some edits, whatever. I can also see what you contributed to the text itself. Please don't leave one group member to do all of this writing of the actual lesson plan. So you can start with commenting ideas, but then you really need to be generating some text within that lesson plan as well. That's on all of you in your group. That should not just fall to 1 or 2 people. Your only role here is not to just make comments. You also need to put stuff in the lesson plan. Keep in mind, everybody, that although you're not doing it right now, at the end of this semester, you will be doing a peer evaluation on each member of your group that you will receive a grade for. So if you're that group member who does not contribute, it will be reflected in that grade. So don't be that group member. Okay. If you are someone who is currently struggling, and I know that we all are with managing our time, do me a favor, communicate that with your group. Okay. Figure out what you can do to participate. We are all generally very kind people. Okay. But collaborate, be communicative, share what you need to share with your group so that you can get the work done. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Again, this is a very general template. Make sure though that it tells me enough that I could pick this up and go implement the lesson somewhere, right? It doesn't have to be scripted, but I should be able to pick this up and it is comprehensive enough that I could go teach this case study student the lesson that you planned as if I were a sub. Okay, that's what I'm looking for here. You can embed if you're not sure where to put the reference or the citation for the peer-reviewed source, you can put it at the end of the lesson outline. That's fine. I'm not, as long as it's there somewhere on the Google Doc, that's what I'm looking for. Make sure you're also looking at the grading criteria. Remember, a minimum of 5 comments of substance, a clear demonstration of thorough collaboration with the group. That will be also seen by me as far as the history of the Google Doc itself. I can see where you actually contributed text to the document. So I will be looking at those analytics. I will also be evaluating the assignment for completion, that all components of the template and the assignment instructions were completed and demonstrated in the final lesson plan. The lesson plan should be completed on time and without spelling or grammar errors. So if one of you in the group is particularly good at that, maybe that can be one of the roles that you take. And then finally, that evidence-based instructional strategies and supports. So the lesson plan should be based on evidence-based instructional strategies and supports, including citations from at least 1 recent peer-reviewed scholarly article. So the text, I expect you to be using the text for sure. So we should see a citation from the text. But you also need something from a peer-reviewed scholarly article. That's a journal article, so not another textbook, but a journal article. All right, I hope that's very clear. I put in here that this particular lesson plan is due Sunday of the week of this module, and for this year, that would be March 28th. And you don't have to submit the final anything into any sort of Dropbox, I will just check um, the Google your shared group folder for the lesson plan. So make sure it's clearly labeled with your group number, lesson plan number, so I can figure out whose is whose a little easier, keep it organized. And that's it for now. So let me know if you have questions, and best of luck to your collaboration.